Alright guys, welcome to the channel. It's a new channel I'm starting because I get asked so many questions from friends now that the dollar is going crazy, Bitcoin's going crazy, cryptocurrencies in general are going kind of nuts. And I love it when people, after I've been in this 5, 6, 7 years, people lean back against the desk, cross their arms and say, so tell me about this Bitcoin thing. Yeah, that's going to happen. That's easy. Anyway, I get asked a lot of basic questions, so I thought, you know what, I should start a channel just on basic financing or finances. The things I don't teach you in economics or, things you haven't heard or you haven't heard in years. And just kind of spell them out, fairly easily, fairly quickly. So this video is why Bitcoin, why now? And let me tell you why I'm doing this video. I know people that bought at 3,000, 4,000, 8,000, 9,000. They also bought at 60,000, 61,000. And they're freaking out. They put all their eggs in one basket. They threw, 15 grand at Bitcoin at 60,000 because they thought they're going to be millionaires in a month. And that's not the way it works, man. That's not the way markets work. But you will be okay. This is not financial advice. I'm just some voice on YouTube. But you will be okay. So why did you buy the Bitcoin? You didn't quite understand it. And you don't have to understand Bitcoin to own it. And you're still going to benefit from it. You don't have to be cypherpunk or anything. Best that you do understand it. And if you're going to buy it and you're going to hold it, you probably should do a little research on it. But here's a few of the basics of why Bitcoin, why now. The dollar is in a death spiral. And I'm going to do a video about that too. I'm going to break down everything. People ask me, what is fiat money? What is inflation? What is deflation? A lot of basic questions that, I'm glad they're asking. I'm surprised they don't know. But knowing now is better than knowing a week from now. What's the Chinese proverb? Best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. Well, let's plant a tree. First of all, with Bitcoin, you are your own bank. I'll give you a quick story to this. A buddy of mine tried to buy some Bitcoin on a exchange, and the bank let him go through for like $100. He did like a test buy. Then he said, okay, I'm going to buy like $2,500 worth. And the bank declined it. So he calls the bank, and the bank says, well, that's a foreign exchange that we don't deal with. And he calls me and he says, what's this foreign exchange shit? And I said, I have no idea because that exchange is based in New York City. He called him back. He's fighting back and forth. And eventually I just told him, listen, this is what you tell your bank. It's your money. You don't want their permission to do what you want with your money. So I would tell them, he had like, 50, 60 grand in that account. I said, I would just tell him, listen, give me all my money now, please. And I'll go to a different bank that lets me do what I want with my money. And he did that. And all of a sudden, everything was fine. He could buy whatever he wanted. They make arbitrary rules, what you're going to do with your money. And if you read the fine print on your banking account, and most people should know this anyway, once you give your money to the bank, they own your money. You got an IOU. And you're trusting them to honor the IOU. And they're going to do it by their rules. So the first thing with Bitcoin is that when you own it and you hold it, it's permissionless. If you want to send $10,000 of Bitcoin to your buddy next door, you don't have to wait 3 days. You don't have to get a note from your mommy. You can just send it. And it's not going to take 3 days for the wire transfer to go through either. It might take 10, 15 minutes. And the fees are going to be like 2 cents. That's a big plus to Bitcoin. The transactions are quicker. They're still using, when you do a wire transfer, man, you're using technology from the 1970s. Yeah, it's true. And I don't know how many different ways to say this, but it's permissionless. And when I say that, people get worried because they're like, oh, I don't really even understand what that means. And what it means is Nobody can tell you what to do with your money. That's your money. You send it, you take it, and I don't want to hear any crap about money laundering, because the biggest money laundering events take place in US dollar cash or through the banking system itself. So that's just a lie, basically. It's just a blatant lie. Just trying to scare you out of the market. Banks fear Bitcoin, man. They absolutely fear it. It is designed to kill the central banks, to take away their power, take away their control over you. It's designed to do that. And you may have heard Bitcoin called gold 2.0. That's because gold is a store of value too. Bitcoin's considered a store of value now. It was at a $1 trillion market cap. It's lower now. I think it's around 700 billion, but that's just everyday volatility. Look at Amazon. Amazon was up and down 30, 40, 50% over the years. There's only two people on the whole planet who held on to their Amazon that they bought at $10, and that's Jeff and his mom. Everybody else either panic sold or just took profits off the top. Bitcoin is mobile. You can take it with you. I keep my Bitcoin on a ledger, and I live in the United States, and let's say I want to go to Spain, and I don't want to declare that I have over 10,000, or I don't want to have to go through a banking system where I have to get permission to use my card or use my money in a different country. Well, I keep my Bitcoin on a ledger. All right, so what's to stop me from knowing my 24-word passwords, my keys, and I go to Spain, and I buy a ledger, and I get on a computer, and I go to the website, and I plug in my ledger, and I put in my 24 words, and I've re-accessed my account, and I can do what I want with my Bitcoin. Try doing that with your regular banking system. That's just not going to happen. It's a whole new way of banking. It's a whole new way of doing things. Why Bitcoin? Why now is what I call the video, because I'm getting a lot of questions about, it was 9,000 and then it went to 14 and then it went to 3 and I bought it at 60. Listen, I bought it at 3,500. I bought it at 14. I bought it at 18. I bought it at 25. I bought it at 32. It doesn't matter. If you believe this is the best store of value for your money and it's not going to get inflated away, they can't print it away. Look at the money printing that's taking place worldwide, every country right now. It's useless pieces of paper, and the more paper there is, the less value that has. I'll do a video on that too, on what a dollar actually is and what fiat actually is, and how it gets debased. And your purchasing power is you're losing 10-15% a year. They can't do that to Bitcoin. It's a fixed supply. There's something like 18 million and change estimated to be out in the world. There's probably a lot less than that because millions are locked up. There can only ever be 21 million. And I had somebody else say to me, well, there's 21 million out there. Now what? I was like, no, there isn't. I mean, we have a long time to go before we get to everything's been mined. And I should do a whole video on just what it means to say Bitcoin's being mined, because a lot of people don't understand that either. But this is just the basics of why Bitcoin, why now. Your money is losing 10-15% a year. I don't care what they say about the CPI. I'll do a video on that too. I don't care what they say about the CPI and what they say inflation rate is, 2%, 3%. It's baloney. For every $100 you have, you're losing $10 to $15 in purchasing power, if not $20 a year. So you still have $100, don't get me wrong. But that $100 only buys $80 worth of stuff next year. So that's the important part, is that it's a store of value. And when I say preserve your wealth, people are like, well, I got a house payment, I have a car payment, I have credit card bills. I actually don't have any wealth. If you got $20 in the bank, that's your wealth. All right, you can work on your bills. You can get those down. There's other ways of approaching that, but your wealth is what you're holding on to and what you're able to hold on to. Bitcoin is the best place to put that. They're not taking it away. They're not debasing it. They can't stop you from using it. It's the way to go. Now, it just so happens that this week in Miami, they're doing the Bitcoin 21 event, which is a bacala of Bitcoin enthusiasts. And I have a clip here. It's like a 30, 40-minute interview. I can't remember. I want to clip out just a few minutes so you can hear Michael Saylor, who was the first major CEO to really put a lot of money into Bitcoin and see its value. Being an MIT engineer, you might want to listen to him and stop listening to the idiot Elon Musk. Every time he sends out a psychedelic-induced marijuana tweet, the price crashes because people don't understand Bitcoin.
We're not selling! We're not selling! Fuck Elon! Fuck Elon!
Just hold. They say hodl. Hodl, that comes from, well, that's a long story, but somebody was drunk and misspelled hold. And then it got interpreted, he's misspelled hold as HODL. And then people were like, yeah, hold on for dear life. And that's how hodl came along. Bitcoin slang trivia there for you. But stop listening to people like Elon Musk, of all people, who spent $1.6 billion on Bitcoin and then decided, well, wait a minute, I should have done a little research. Well, yeah, maybe you should have. Michael Saylor put hundreds of millions, if not billions, into it also. But he did the research, and he's not sweating it. I'm going to do a whole video on that energy use, too. That's baloney. It's absolute crap. But, if you don't understand it, you buy into it. And basically, I guess the point of this video would be, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just some voice on YouTube. But if you're putting your money in Bitcoin, it's a pretty good bet. And everything in life is a risk, but it's a pretty good bet. You're either maintaining the value of your money or it goes up 200 to 300% a year. You might be making money. And I'd rather have a Bitcoin on my ledger than $40,000 in cash in a safe under my bed. Because that $40,000 isn't going to be worth squat in 2 or 3 years. And the Bitcoin could be worth millions, if you want to think of it that way. But let me play a quick clip here of Michael Saylor being interviewed by Max Keiser at the Miami 21 this year. And I'll come back with some final thoughts. And listen, leave me a comment or a question below. Or it's a brand new channel. I'm trying to get some thumbs up, trying to get some subscribers. Do what you will, my friends. But here's that clip.
All right, I wanted to get into that. So going back to around 2014, your friend Eric Weiss, he was talking to you about Bitcoin. You kind of ignored it. Then in 2020, he mentioned it again. And within a few weeks, you were buying tens of thousands of Bitcoin for you and your company. What the fuck happened?
Well, I guess I lost faith in all of my traditional investment strategies. I didn't really think much about the dollar and about inflation. I thought there was no inflation, and I thought I could just sit and own big tech companies and the world would work itself out. And I guess around March, everything changed, and the monetary inflation rate tripled, and it became pretty clear that the big tech trade was a crowded trade. At the point that my niece in her early 20s was telling me about Apple stock, I figured that maybe it wasn't cutting edge. So I looked around and I discovered Bitcoin. And when I discovered Bitcoin, I thought, well, this is digital gold on a big tech monetary network, and it's going to grow by a factor of 100. And then I thought, well, I should buy as much as I can. And what I tell people even this day is what I was buying it, and I was thinking, I have to buy as fast as I can, as much as I can, because someone else might figure this out before, and then I won't be able to.
Can you just talk a little bit about this idea of property rights for billions around the world and what Bitcoin offers and how you see that?
Yeah, well, I think after you study Bitcoin, the light bulb goes off, and what I realized is anybody on earth that wanted to own anything, that wanted to own some property, has a choice. You can buy land somewhere, but someone can tax it and take it away from you. You can buy gold, but someone can take it away from you. You can buy stocks, but you can never take possession of it. You can buy debt, you can never take possession of it. You can buy jewelry, people will take it away from you. And Bitcoin is the apex property of the human race. It's the first time we figured out how to create true property that you can take possession of with full custodial rights, that's least likely to be impaired, that's most mobile. And so, yeah, it doesn't matter if you have $1 billion. If you have $1 billion, you can buy a building in Manhattan or Bitcoin, you'd rather have the Bitcoin. And it doesn't matter if you have $387. If you have $387, you can still buy the Bitcoin, take it anywhere. And if you compare that to buying silver or gold or land or a stock, your custodial and your property rights are impaired by everything else. And so I think Bitcoin is truly a seminal invention of the human race, because for the first time in human history, we can grant property rights to 8 billion people. And that's what I think is cool.
And I think that's pretty damn cool too. Listen guys, thanks for getting this far into the video. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe. I'm trying to kick off this channel. It's a far cry from my other channels, but I think it's an important one. I want to cover all the basics of finance that a lot of people are struggling with apparently. And I just, from day to day, speaking to friends, speaking to family, I'm finding out there's very basics that people don't quite know what they are, and nobody really explains it on the finance channels. They just kind of blow over it, this fiat this and deflation that, and so I wanna dive a little deeper, get you a good understanding of what it is everybody's talking about with all these acronyms and expressions, and provide value to you to help you understand the financial system and where we're at. And we're at a turning point. We're in the fourth turning. That's a whole different video, but yep, here we are. Listen guys, thanks a lot. Peace, love, and karma.